Okay, so this is the story of how I got Tui, this little rat right here. I've had fancy rats as pets for over half a decade at this point, and people at work know that I have rats, so they're not something that they talk about. And one day I'm at work and I get a message from my boss saying, "Would you like to get another rat?" And I go, "Of course, what's up?" And she explains to me that her neighbor, that she knows because they're in like a Facebook group together, found in their like garage what was very obviously a domesticated pet rat that someone had abandoned. And they borrowed a hamster cage from one of their neighbors, and they had it in there to keep it safe, and were like feeding it crackers and sunflower seeds, and like letting it run around the bathtub for exercise once a day. But they were like, "We really don't know how to take care of this, and we don't really want to." But at the same time, like, we can't just let it go because it's very obviously like a domesticated creature. And well, eventually, and so luckily, when my boss saw that, she messaged them and she's like, "I know just the guy for this rat." And so she messaged me about it, and of course I'm like, "Yeah, I would love to have that. I would love to have rescue this rat." So I get out of work at 8 o'clock in the afternoon. So by the time I get to the house, it's 8:30 at night. So it is like pitch black. It's this suburban development that's like one of those ones that's like built in the middle of nowhere. So it's all just like very creepy, flat, empty terrain with houses coming up like teeth, and and I go up to the house, and there's there's this giant truck, and then there's the garage door open, and there's like these two really cute twin girls, and then there's like this like nice looking like lady, and then there's like her husband, who's this guy with these like huge muscles, and he's just looks really cool and really tough, and he's standing there, and I go and so I'm like, "Hi, I'm the rat man. I'm here to take your rat. Please give me this rat." And so they take me to the hamster cage, and that's where Tui was. And sure enough, like I reached in there, even though he was very obviously in a state of distress, he never bit me. He, didn't try to hurt me or anything. He just was scared and backed away. And after I stayed and answered questions, that they had about the rat, because they'd been taking care of him. They'd obviously had questions and stuff. One of them asked, like, "How do you know it's a boy?" And I just kind of laughed, because I was like, it's like, just look at it. It's very obvious. But anyway, so what happened then is, so I take him home, and this little rat is very traumatized. Like, it makes me think that, see, rats are social creatures. That's why if you ever have pet rats, you need to have at least two, because they need a companion. I'm wondering if maybe before he was abandoned by his previous owners, he was like an only rat, because he was not socialized at all. He was terrified being around other rats. Like, normally what I do when I get a rat is I put it in a quarantine cage, and and I just like let it sit next to the big cage for a day so they get used to each other's scent. And then I put them in there, and then it's great. They get along, they become buddies. This time I did that, and I hear like some loud squeaking, and I come over and I see, and he has like a cut on his tail. Like, he had been fighting. You might even be able to still see like the remnants where it's healed up on his tail. But I was really scared, and then I was observing again, and that's time I realized it's like, oh, he's just so terrified he goes into flight or fight mode and winds up just trying to pick fights with these much bigger rats that are just curious and want to say hi. And so I was like, I'm going to have to be really careful and take a long time with him. So he stayed in that quarantine cage for about 2 weeks. Like, eventually what I did was I put that smaller cage in the bigger cage so he could get used to living alongside the other rats without ever being able to like interact with them or get hurt them. And doing like where I take one of the rats out of the cage and him and just hold them both, and to kind of get one-on-one experiences. And slowly but surely, I was able to get Tui, also, the reason why it's called Tui is because the twin girls named him that after the movie Ratatouille, and there's no way I'm going to change his name, because that is too cute. Like, that's such a cute story, and also rats learn to know their names, so he knows being called Tui, and I'm not going to take that away from him. So, see, and the funny thing is, through all this, even though he was so scared, he has always just been a total angel with me. Like, he has been so sweet and loving, and especially now that he's like completely gotten better. He's just one of the boys now. He just, they all sleep in a big pile every night. He's just, he bounces around and eats food like the rest of them. He doesn't have to hide or try and steal it. I'm just really happy, and if Tui can get better, anyone can. So Tui's my little rescue. He means a lot to me.